Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Goodness.
Good morning. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the program. It's Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the crime. I'm here. I can hear you.
I'm here.
Can you hear him? We're here.
We're here.
We hear you.
Oh, God. Yes.
All right, we're live.
Here we go.
We're looking live at the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We got some technical issues with Facebook's going ballistic the last couple of days, apparently. We got JC here momentarily, and then we're going to be joined by 24/7 CBS college football analyst Blake Brockermeyer. We're going to talk a little bit about the national landscape. He also give us a little rundown of the Red River rivalry, the big game out in Dallas, Texas this week. JC, good morning. How are
buddy.
you?
Hey, good. Thanks, Shane. How are you doing today? Doing well, thanks.
Yeah, plugging away. Now, JC,
Buddy.
I'm remote today, so I can't see you.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you're not wearing a Yankees hat today.
Oh, man. No, absolutely not. What a tragedy. Poor Garrett Cole just didn't come through for him. I guess $360 million doesn't get you everything, QB. I listened. The Red Sox, I think the Yankees, I don't know. After they left Boston 2 weeks ago and they swept that team, and they were 3 games above Boston in the wild card chase, heading to Toronto, won the first game there. And ever since that trip, their bats have gone quiet. In that final series against Tampa Bay.
Rick says on Facebook Live, when a school has history of losing, there's little chance of recruiting top-notch players. Vanderbilt's never going to get top-notch players. I don't care what they build there, but they can get some better players. Here's what I think Vanderbilt should do. Now, they just hired a new coach, but here's what they should have done, JC. They should have, but again, you're going to have to pay a guy a lot of money to come to the league to lose, okay? He should have hired a Jeff Monken or someone that runs the wishbone, because think about that. That is so much preparation that teams have to get ready for, and it's so unique that it causes problems for teams. And that's the only way, in my opinion, Vanderbilt could have some type of success and cause problems in the conference.
Well, I mean, that's Georgia Teching the school and the team. And the way I look at it wasn't that long ago, folks. It really was not that long ago where Vanderbilt came in here and dominated a football game under James Franklin. I think a lot of it has to do with who you hire. I think, if you look at SMU coming off the death penalty, took them a while, but Sonny Dykes has got an undefeated team. And sure, they don't play in the SEC, but they're SMU. And there have been plenty of teams in big Power 5 conferences that have not had a history of winning that have won. Wake Forest is 5-0 in Clemson's conference, okay? That is just a lousy excuse for not winning. You have to hire the right coach. Dave Clawson is a very good football coach. James Franklin is a very good football coach. James Franklin won football games at Vanderbilt. So I'm not accepting that as a reason why Vandy doesn't win, because they've never won before. They did win one or 2 years before, and I saw it happen here. But I think that I just think they have Derek Mason had no business being the head coach at Vanderbilt. Okay, he was a defensive guy on the West Coast that they decided to bring to Nashville. Why? That's not a good hire. And it reminds me of how the Miami Dolphins draft. They don't know what they're doing. And that's where I think you get – now, look, they did bring James Franklin in. He was good. But, it's hard to back that up at a school like that. I think that's the more accurate assessment, is that it's hard to bring in good coaches consistently who can win games at a school.
Yeah, and also, if I remember correctly, when James Franklin was there, he did do a good job. The SEC East was really down. Georgia was down, Florida was down, Tennessee was down. So he got it all at the right time. People keep talking about more audio and video outages. We have some technical issues. Nothing we can do about it at this point. JC, I wanted to get your thoughts before we let you go. Switching to the NFL, I don't know if we spoke about it on Monday, but the whole issue with Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. My thoughts: I've never heard of a head coach not flying back with his team on a plane. And I've just heard some rumblings from my folks in Jacksonville that the locker room's a mess now. Some people think Urban should be fired over this. What are your thoughts?
I'm not ready to fire him, but it sure is an embarrassment. And I think the owner and him had a very candid conversation. The owner, after you read this article by the great Andy Staples in The Athletic, who I love reading, will tell you a lot of good things, because the guy knows what he's talking about when he researches and writes these columns. And basically what he said was that Shad Khan has absolutely no confidence. It's a no confidence vote right now. And he didn't want to get into legalities by firing the guy for cause, because, Urban's got some good lawyers too. And so he didn't want to have to write a check right now, but he's got zero confidence in Urban. And that's just a shocker, because he was, Urban was, in Shad Khan's mind, a winner, a type of winner that they need to change the culture of Jacksonville and not degrade it. And Urban, just as Paul Feinbaum has said before, he's a fraud. He's an absolute fraud. And it's a shame, because I think Jacksonville deserves better. It's too bad. Now, listen, I'm not going to judge what Urban Meyer's marital situation is with Shelley. But what I did read in Andy Staples' column was that Shelley was babysitting the grandkids while Urban was out there playing around on the dance floor or sitting at a bar taking selfies with a bunch of drunk people in Ohio. And as far as getting back on the plane goes, I think the only excuse you can give Urban was that they were coming off a Thursday night game, and that's really not an excuse, but it's the only thing I can think of, in the fact that, of course, they've got relatives in Ohio. So maybe that's why he didn't leave with them, but that's still a lousy excuse. He's being paid millions of dollars to coach the Jaguars, be the face of the team, and lead them out of the doldrums, and he's done anything but that to this point. And listen, the worst thing he did was bring Trevor Lawrence's name into this, when, if you read Andy's column, he was talking about Trevor Lawrence is going on a freaking bachelor party to Las Vegas, and to be careful and blah, 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 blah. What a hypocrite this guy is.
Well, so, here's the thing.
I mean, if I was Trevor Lawrence, QB, I'd be furious with this jerk. I'd be furious with him.
Yeah.
Because, don't talk about me. It's not about me, coach. And I don't want to hear about, what I should have or shouldn't have done on my stinking bachelor party. That was horrible.
No, see, I totally agree with that, because here's the thing. Players can fly, depending on what organization you're in. And they had extra days off because of the Thursday game. Players have been known to fly to places, go on a little vacation. I have no problem with whatever Trevor Lawrence is doing on his bachelor party. Who cares? But what I'm saying is, I've never once heard, I don't care if it was a 20-minute car ride or Uber ride to your in-laws or whatever, from the stadium and the visiting team. You have to fly back with your team. And as you said, I guarantee you he flew private coming home from Ohio.
You can count on it.
Why not when you fly back with the team into Jacksonville, you have a private plane waiting for you to fly you right back to Ohio. So, you should have never thrown Trevor Lawrence in that.
Oh, it was
awful. Chris says here on Facebook Live, did you see the second video where he stuck his I'm not going to say that. Embarrassing to see that, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he probably should be fired for it. It's what Chris says here. So I don't know.
I think Shad's thinking of legalities right now, why he would want to go through that today. Maybe let him go 1-14, 1-16, or 0-17, and then worry about it. I don't know.
But they're going to win 7 games.
Yeah, just like Texas A&M's going to win the SEC, my man.
Hey,
Come on.
hey, I agree, but hey, I have an excuse with that pick. They lost their quarterback. Nobody's lost anything with the Jaguars. That's their roster.
Yeah.
They just got a bad roster. I can't believe A&M as bad as they are, but they are. There's no way. Kemp says here on Facebook Live, the Gators would only want to rehire him to take Dan's place. Oh, that's funny.
Well,
all right, JC, real quick, before we let you go, baseball's cranking up, but we got, as you mentioned, we got a bunch of SEC games. I mean, I don't know if I've ever been excited to watch a Big Ten game.
Right.
And it may be boring as hell. But I can't remember the last time I saw Penn State and Iowa ranked 3 and 4 in America. Playing this Saturday. And shoot, whoever wins. Now they're on opposite sides, correct?
That is right. Yes, West is Iowa,
so
East is Penn State.
They could play each other again.
Absolutely. That's why I was saying earlier that this game does not damage their chances to win the conference. It may hurt them a little in the polls, whoever loses, but it still keeps them very much alive to win the conference. And Iowa probably will have no problem winning the West. There's nobody there that can challenge Iowa. So Iowa's going to win the West, win or lose this game. And the last time I can remember these two teams playing an important game was in the snow in Iowa City when Joe Paterno brought an unbeaten Penn State team in town and Iowa beat them. This is not setting up well. Iowa plays great on these kind of games, in these type of games in Iowa City. And it wouldn't be surprising at all to see them beat Penn State. Penn State's got a harder road to the Big Ten championship game than Iowa does, without a doubt.
Yeah. What do you think about another intriguing game is in Oxford?
Yeah.
The way Ole Miss and Arkansas played last week.
Well, right.
How do you see that game playing out?
Well, I would expect Ole Miss to play to win the game. First of all, I think they will win. I think Arkansas's got some issues with their quarterback being not 100% healthy. They also, I don't think, can afford to get into any type of shootout with Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss would benefit greatly there. But I do think Arkansas will play better, and this is going to be a game where one of these two teams, who has been talked about as the darlings of the SEC prior to last weekend, will continue to be talked about, while the other team is going to start to fade, I guess, and kind of just come back to where we expected them to be all along. And so it's a big game, and I certainly think Ole Miss has the advantage playing at home. Arkansas is now playing its third game against who I consider very difficult opponents. When you had A&M at one time, who we thought was better, but then you had to go to Georgia. It would have helped them a lot if they had gone to South Carolina instead, but they went to Georgia. So now you have to stop in Oxford on your way back to Fayetteville. That's a 3-week stretch of being away from home. And speaking of stretches away from home, if you look at Georgia's schedule, I don't think they travel more than 200 miles. Well, let me take that back. They don't play further than 300 miles from Athens, Georgia, pretty much for the entire season. They played in Charlotte against Clemson. They play in Auburn this weekend. They play in Atlanta a couple times. They go to Jacksonville. It's the furthest trip they take, it seems. So, it works out for some and not others.
Yeah, we got a bunch of people here talking about me. They want me to reboot the computer. I don't know how to do any of that, folks. If we're having issues, they'll get it all fixed. We're going to keep talking here for a few more minutes. Turn your car or truck to a rolling billboard for your business or brand with an eye-catching vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot this October. Mention promo code Shane, receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. A couple more minutes with JC, then we'll be joined by Blake Brockermeyer. He's a college football analyst for 24/7 Sports. We'll get the national landscape, get his thoughts on that. What were you getting ready to say, JC?
Well, I was going to give you a quick trivia question to ponder through the break. If you don't get it, although you may get it, it has an NFL, has to do with quarterbacks, Hall of Fame quarterbacks. So you're pretty good with that. You're a Hall of Fame quarterback here in Florida. So all of the NFL franchises, all 32 NFL franchises, QB, who are the only 4 quarterbacks to beat every franchise in their career? I know you got a couple of these.
Well, Tom Brady's got to be one.
Yeah, he is.
So they beat every one of them, Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I'm going to go Joe Montana.
Nope, he's not on the list. There's just 4 of them. The other one is your favorite quarterback of all time. The other one's your favorite quarterback of all time.
Aaron Rodgers?
No, Peyton Manning's your favorite quarterback of all time.
I didn't know Peyton was. His dad was when I was growing up.
I'm sure he was. And then another one is a guy who comes from the state of Mississippi who was one of the greatest of all time that that I first interview of my career. Who was that?
Favre.
That's right. And then the fourth one, just retired.
Just retired. What team did he play for?
Your team.
Oh, Drew Brees.
Correct. So that's a pretty good question. That seems obvious, but you actually have to think about it.
Well, I mean, it is, but it's all modern day quarterbacks.
Well, Brett Favre is a little bit older than these other ones, but yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And 32 NFL franchises. They didn't used to have 32 NFL franchises, of course, when they added some teams. But I just wanted to divert and get that in before we knocked off. But getting back again to the college season, I think Gator fans, look, go to Vanderbilt game, enjoy the weather, enjoy the time. It's awesome to be on campus for a home game. Take advantage of the few opportunities you have to go to these games, but don't expect a whole lot and don't take a whole lot from this in terms of what the game is going to look like, because it's going to be absolutely lopsided ugly. So that's the way it is.
Yep. JC, I'm curious. Are you going to run in the Gator Gallop and go to the parade?
No, those were the old days. In the old days during the homecoming parade, QB, when we were small going to school around here, they would throw candy to children out on the side of the road. I mean, could you imagine them doing that today? I mean, we used to love to go to the homecoming parade because the people on the floats and the folks who were in the parade would throw candies out to the people standing on the sidewalk. We'd run out there and get them and fill up our bags. It was like a mini Halloween. I was in this parade a couple times with TV20, sitting there with Paige Beck in the back of a Buick or something like that, a convertible. So I have been in this parade, but it's homecoming. I think folks need to enjoy it. And the game's
do
not
they
going to be
still have Gator Growl? They don't have Gator Growl anymore.
I don't know if they do or not. Yeah, it's a lot of things have changed over the years, but Florida homecoming was a really fun traditional experience. I'm sure they've figured out ways to make it that way today, but it's probably a little different. I know it is with the parade for sure. Yeah.
Okay, last thing before I let you go, I want you to hear This Day in Sports brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business peace of mind. Our Comfort Temp's now hiring team members of all levels of experience. $1,000 signing bonus. Give Comfort Temp a call, 352-376-2366. This Day in Sports, 1993. After 9 seasons and 3 championships with the Chicago Bulls, MJ announces his retirement from the NBA. He decided to return back in 95, and he won 3 more titles. Remember that, JC?
I do. Yeah. He also played for the Washington Wizards, if you can believe that. So, yeah, no, I do remember. Greatest player ever, no doubt.
Yep. All right, JC, go and enjoy your round of golf today.
All right, we'll talk to you guys on Friday. We'll do our picks and hopefully have these glitches fixed.
All right, that's JC joining us on the Titan MR hotline. Going to take our first time out. When we come back, we'll be joined by Blake Brockermeyer, former Texas Longhorn All-American, first-round draft pick of the Carolina Panthers, now an analyst for 24/7 Sports and CBS. Talking a little college football. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We're now going to be joined by former teammate of mine, Texas Longhorn All-American Blake Brockermeyer, who's in college football analyst for 24/7 Sports and CBS. Good morning, Blake. How are you, bud?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Good. Let's jump right into it, Blake. You're the Red River rivalry, Texas OU. Give us your thoughts on playing in this game, what it's like, and who you think is going to win it.
Oh, it's an amazing game, a really neat atmosphere. It's very similar to the Florida Georgia game. I would think. I've never been, but the crowd split 50-50 down the middle of the stadium. You're in the State Fair of Texas, so it's a great environment, and it's just an amazing game to be in. When you're running down that tunnel, it just feels like you can float on air coming down there, ready to go. But I think it'll be a a really good game this year. I mean, it usually is. Oklahoma has a great record. They're not as good, in my opinion, as they have been. They're still a very good team. Their defense has actually been playing well this year. Their offense has been good at times, not as good as they normally have been, but they're still good. They've still got good players, so I would expect them to have a big, performance this weekend. Texas is better than they've been the last few years. Their offense is obviously everything runs through Bijan Robinson, who's one of the best, if not the best, running back in the country. And Casey Thompson's got a fun week ahead. His dad was a former great option quarterback at OU under Barry Switzer, so that'll be fun for him, I'm sure. So it'll be a fun game, and it'll be a great atmosphere, and I expect it to come down to the wire like it usually does. It's usually a one possession type game.
The other big game in the country is Penn State, Iowa, both third and fourth in the country. Just your thoughts. I know you've probably broken those teams down. Who you like in that game?
Yeah, I've got a breakdown on those. Iowa's offense versus Penn State's defense that should be coming out, I think, maybe today. Iowa is a very well coached, but they play very good complementary football. They're a zone team, play action pass, nakeds, Y cross type offense. Their O-line averages about 290 pounds. They have a really good center, probably the best center in the country on their team. Typical Iowa, pretty decent O-line, even though they're young. And the quarterback's kind of a game manager. He's made some great throws, but he's not going to, they're not going to line up and four verts and throw the ball over the field on you like Steve Spurrier would. So it's more of a, ball control, zone blocking. We've got a really nice running back and that can hit a home run here and there. And, Penn State's, their defense is very deep. They've got a very good, front four. They're big. They've got a very experienced secondary. So I think it'll be an interesting game. I think, it'll be similar to what kind of Iowa saw versus Wisconsin, except Penn State can throw the football. And so, I think Penn State will win this game. I think they've got a more complete team, but Iowa's hot and they're at home. So, it'll be a good game, I'm sure. But I think Penn State will win that game. But Iowa's one of those.
The other big,
you never know.
Yeah. The other big game around the country, the Georgia Bulldogs travel to Auburn, the oldest rivalry game in the Southeastern Conference. Auburn coming off an upset win over LSU. How do you see that game playing out?
I think Georgia will have their way with Auburn. I mean, I think Georgia's obviously everyone knows about their defense. I think, will JT Daniels come back and play? That's kind of the big, question is, what's his status? They're just so loaded with talent. I think that should be a rout. I don't know what the point spread is on that game, but whatever it is, I would think Georgia will have their way. But after watching Bo Nix do a Johnny Manziel impression last week against LSU, you never know. But they've got a really good running back at Auburn. That's a great player, and their tight ends, they throw the ball to some. So it'll be an interesting game, and but I would expect Georgia to have a great showing.
Alabama, obviously you got two boys that play at Alabama. Have the team pretty much performed how you expected them so far this year, Blake?
Yeah, they're honestly a little bit better than I thought they would be. I thought, I don't think this is the best team that Alabama's ever had under Coach Saban. Obviously, they had so many new faces and starters, especially on offense, to replace. and they kind of seem to have a few games early. I mean, Florida obviously kind of had some great scheme and game plan against them defensively. They had a tough first quarter against them, but I think their offense is coming around. They've got a few injuries here and there that have kind of slowed down their progress on both sides of the ball, but their defense seems to have the same deal every year where they have a tough game or two. They get it on film, they correct it. And so, I mean, I think, it'll be interesting. They're going to play Georgia twice this year, I would expect. And so that's going to be an interesting matchup when they see each other in the SEC championship game. And then, I'm assuming they will see each other in the national championship game down the road. So, really, to me, it's going to come down to who can stay healthy. I mean, if you're losing some key pieces here and there, then that could end up being the difference.
Last thing for you, and we're going to get you back on here in a couple of weeks and talk a little bit longer. But right now, as of today, who's your 4-team playoff?
Right now, I would say I would go Alabama, Georgia. I would think Penn State is probably going to come out of the Big Ten, and Cincinnati. Those would be the 4 teams that I would expect to be in it today.
You think Cincinnati, I mean, obviously they had an impressive win at Notre Dame. You think if they run the table, even though they don't really play any quality opponents, you think they still can get in?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it. I mean, they started the season ranked pretty high. They had a game versus Georgia last year and whatever bowl that was, I can't remember now. But I mean, they easily could have won that game. I know Georgia wasn't at full strength, but Georgia always says they're never at full strength when they lose their bowl games. But I mean, they've got talent, and who else are you going to put in there? I mean, you can't put 3 SEC teams in there. There's nobody. I mean, I thought Oregon had a chance. I mean, I think they're probably done. I don't see anybody. I mean, I don't think Ohio State's going to get in. Clemson obviously is not getting in. No one in the ACC is getting in. So I don't know who else would get in. So I think, assuming they run the table, which they should, SMU is a team that they're going to have to watch out for, because that SMU can score a bunch of points, and they're playing well early. But I don't know who else you put in, but that's who I have right now.
Yeah, Blake, let everybody know how they can check out all your breakdowns and stuff.
I'm at 24/7 Sports. You can follow me on Twitter at B Brockermeyer FW, and I mean, that's really it. I'm on 24/7 Sports does post all my national articles, but you can follow me on Twitter just as easy.
All right, good stuff, my man. I appreciate it. Good luck to the Longhorns in the Red River rivalry. We'll talk to you soon, bud.
Appreciate you too, man. Take care.
That's Blake Brockermeyer. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Today's show is a wrap brought to you by Wrap Spot. We'll see you tomorrow.